My entitled friend demands that we go vegan for Thanksgiving, claiming that if we're eating at her house for Thanksgiving, then we're required to go 100% vegan, with no exceptions being allowed. So I decided to back out and accidentally start a movement amongst my friend group that resulted in everybody backing out of her stupid Thanksgiving dinner, which then caused my vegan friend to freak out on me and try to turn everybody against me. Here's what happened. Okay, so I have a friend who went vegan about 10 years ago, and we've been friends for over 20 years now. We have a large group of friends of about 20 people, and there are a few of us that switch off cooking dinner on Thanksgiving for whoever's in town. Now, ever since my friend, who we will call Anne, went vegan, we've always accommodated her dietary restrictions with, at the very least, some kind of tofu turkey that she can eat, as well as one side dish and one dessert being strictly vegan. This year, Anne jumped in early and for the first time ever said that she wanted to cook Thanksgiving dinner this year, and that honestly wasn't a problem until she informed us in the group chat that the dinner will be 100% vegan. Some of us offered to bring some omnivore offerings, including a turkey, but she insisted that we eat vegan while at her house. She declared that vegan food tastes exactly the same as omnivore food. But guess what? It definitely doesn't. I've been to her house and choked down bean burgers and chocolate cake, and probably a dozen other meals, each of which she insisted tasted just like the real thing. She even tried to fool me once with a Beyond Burger, insisting that it was a real hamburger. I've only found a limited number of vegan dishes that I actually enjoy, and none of them have ever been made by her. So after thinking it over and discussing it with my husband, we decided to privately tell her that we were bowing out of dinner on Thanksgiving this year. I told her that I wanted turkey, mashed potatoes, and pumpkin pie that would all be made with traditional ingredients. And sure, I could have lied and said we had plans to travel to go see family, but I do not want to lie. And unfortunately, Anne has become more and more angry with me ever since I told her this about a week ago. Then she went and complained to some of the women in our group about me refusing to attend just because she's cooking, which is sort of true but still made me angry. So I ended up explaining to the other ladies that we all very considerately make vegan dishes just for her at every party, not to mention every single get-together any of us throw, and it's really unreasonable for her to insist that I strictly adhere to her dietary choices when I have never demanded the same from her. Well, as you can imagine, that blew up because all of the ladies have now jumped to my way of thinking and decided that they will have Thanksgiving at one of their houses instead. My husband says we probably should have lied about going out of town, or at the very least, I should have not explained my reasoning to the other ladies. And I've honestly decided to stay out of it from here on out, but somehow Anne blames me for the whole debacle. So truly, am I at fault for not wanting to go vegan for this Thanksgiving? Because right now I'm incredibly offended and I really don't know what to do. Okay, your friend is being completely unreasonable. For them seriously to be like, oh, if you want to eat Thanksgiving dinner, you have to go vegan. Like, that is so weird and so controlling. Because the original poster has it right. They literally accommodated this friend for so many years, and now the friend's like, oh no, I'm not gonna do that. If you want to eat at my house, it's gotta be this crappy vegan food. So no, you're definitely not the jerk, and the fact that your friend is trying to act this way and like turn your friends against you, in my opinion, is incredibly toxic, because that kind of behavior was completely unnecessary. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for refusing to let my sister's kids stay with me after she canceled on me last minute and made my life a living nightmare? Here's what happened. So my sister has 3 kids, and last month she asked if I could watch them for a weekend while she and her husband went on a short anniversary trip. Now, I agreed because I love my nieces and nephew, but I made it clear that I needed at least 2 weeks notice because I work long hours and I would have to rearrange my schedule. Fast forward to this past week, and I asked my boss for time off, cleared my weekend, and stocked my house with everything the kids would need. Friday afternoon rolls around and I'm waiting for her to drop them off. Then, suddenly, I get a text from her saying that they're not coming. She decided last minute that they were going to a family-friendly resort instead and didn't want me to watch them anymore. No apology, no nothing. Just them saying, oh, we'll have to do it another time. At this point, I was frustrated because I had completely cleared my weekend. I had turned down plans with friends and rearranged my work schedule for this. I responded by telling her that it was not cool to cancel on me last minute like that, especially when I went out of my way to help her out. Then 2 days later, she called me again asking if I could watch the kids the following weekend. Apparently, something came up with her original plan and she needed someone to watch them after all. But you know what? I told her no, I wasn't available. She then got upset and said I was being selfish and punishing her kids for something that wasn't their fault. Now she's mad at me, and my parents are saying I should be more understanding because things come up up when you're a parent. Now, I don't have kids, but I feel like it's just basic respect to not cancel on someone last minute and then expect them to be available whenever you want. So am I the jerk here? What should I do? No, you're not the jerk, because honestly, this is unacceptable. If I had cleared my schedule and went through the proper steps to have the time off to watch these kids, and then my sister was like, oh, sorry, we're not doing it anymore, and didn't let me know in advance that they were just gonna do something else, then I would never want to help them with anything else ever again. That is seriously such awful behavior, it's not even funny. And the fact that your parents are trying to be like, oh, they have kids are tough, things come up when you're a parent, and it's like, I'm sorry, that might be true, but your lack of planning is not my emergency. The original poster shouldn't have to drop everything they're doing just to help out their sister, who is too scatterbrained to schedule things properly. So no, you're not the jerk for not wanting to help her out, because her behavior is incredibly toxic, and you should not have to put up with that in the slightest. Am I the jerk for leaving home after my partner let his son invite 5 friends over for a sleepover when I'm literally recovering from a major surgery? Because right now, my partner's saying that he just forgot and that I'm overreacting to what's really going on, because right now I'm incredibly frustrated. Here's what happened. Okay, to start things out, I had major surgery last week. I am home recovering and off work for 2 weeks, with 4 to 6 weeks recommended before resuming life relatively normally. My partner informed me late yesterday afternoon that his 13-year-old son was having 5 friends for a sleepover tonight. It's now Saturday where I live, and I had no prior knowledge that he would allow his son to organize this, and it's for no special reason. It's literally happening just because they want to do it. Well, when I heard about this, I was instantly upset. I asked why he would agree to that, not only without speaking to me first, but also when I'm just home from the hospital and recovering from a major surgery. Well, his response was that he didn't think that it would affect me, and he just forgot to mention it. Well, at that point, I started crying, saying that I felt so uncared for and that he was being inconsiderate of my healing and recovery. He continued to reiterate that he didn't see how it should affect me and that it wasn't a big deal. He suggested that if it bothered me that much, I could go and stay at my mom's house for the night. Well, I didn't want to wait until the next day, so I packed a suitcase and drove myself to my mom's house right then and there, even though I'm not supposed to be driving yet. He has sent me messages saying I'm overreacting and that he still doesn't think that it's a big deal, but I don't understand how he thinks an additional 5 teenage boys in a house with 1 toilet and the living space right next to our bedroom where I'm supposed to be resting and recovering won't affect me in some kind of way. So am I in the wrong for leaving right away when in fact I don't think I should have left at all? I really think the sleepover should have been canceled for another time, but right now I really don't know what to do. Oh man, you're 100% right. This sleepover absolutely shouldn't have happened. It really sounds like this was a surgery that took you completely out of commission. So for your partner to be like, oh come on, you're just overreacting, it's not that big of a deal. No dude, are you kidding me right now? The original poster absolutely should take priority. This is not okay. It's just gonna be so annoying for them. So no, you're not the jerk for putting your foot down and being like, this is not okay. Because in my opinion, especially after a surgery of this kind, you definitely deserve way better than the way you're being treated. Am I the jerk for taking my birth certificate, my social security card, and my passport away from my mother, simply because I need it more than she does, despite the fact that she claims I don't have a legal right to them? Here's what happened. Okay, so when I moved out of my mom's house, I took my birth certificate, my social security card, and my passport. The passport I've had to pay $200 for recently, and I asked her if she had my high school diploma and if I could have it so I could get back into school. She said that she would look, but she got really mad that I had my own birth certificate, social security card, and passport and said that they aren't mine legally. For reference, I'm 20 years old, so yes, they are. She then said that I can get a copy, but I can't have the originals, and that I need to give them back. But I told her no. She's more than welcome to get a copy, but as for the originals, they are mine. She doesn't need them unless she's trying to do some fraudulent stuff. I told her if she can get me a copy, that's fine, but I will not be paying for it. I heard it's a tricky process, and I don't want to do that because I have the originals right here. To sum it all up, I ended up telling her that I'm not giving this stuff back to her, especially the passport since I paid for it, because she has no necessity or legal right to it. So am I the jerk for taking my identifications away from my mom and saying that she can't have it because right now she's still incredibly mad and I don't know what to do? No, you're not in the wrong at all, and I think you have the right sense about this in essentially saying that this is yours and she doesn't need it. You're 20 years old, there's no reason for her to have it in the first place anymore, and this is stuff that you're definitely going to need. And you're right, getting a copy of this stuff is a nightmare. It is so frustrating getting a copy of all of this because it could literally take well over a year just to figure this all out. So the fact that your mom's like, no, you can't have it, give it back to me, that just sounds super inconvenient and so unfair. So no, you're not the jerk for taking all of that away from her? Because she absolutely does not need that anymore. My phone number got leaked to a bunch of telemarketers, resulting in me getting all kinds of calls from all over the world. So I decided to maliciously comply by literally wasting their time in the best way possible. Here's what happened. Okay, for starters, I know we all hate telemarketers, but these people who try to say, oh, I can buy your house, honestly push me to a new level of annoyed. They used to give out a fake company name and say Home Builders Incorporated or something like that. I ended up Googling it and got in contact with the actual owner of that company, who I believe is out in Minnesota. He told me that there's a company in Egypt of all places that sells off sales leads to American companies and essentially slips by the legality of combing through public records for personal information. He said to get to an American company, I need to pretend to be interested in selling my house and wait for the call from the US-based company and confront them. So that's exactly what I did. After giving some vague information that was incorrect to the Egyptian caller, I did eventually get matched up and called from someone in northern Ohio. When I explained I knew what he was doing and that it wasn't legal, he eventually hung up on me and blocked me. Now, I called from a few different numbers until he disconnected his line. So in some ways, that was a small win, but honestly, it's not the story that I came to tell. These calls have not stopped, so trolling is my new favorite thing. I constantly beat them to the punch, and I asked to buy their house. I asked them how Egypt is, or what the pyramids look like. I've even tried to order pizza and put them on hold, just to see how long they would last, or I would just change the subject completely. But my biggest win was when they would ask me if I have any other properties to sell. So I said, yes, I do in fact have some that I would like to sell. I then told them the address, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, District of Columbia. And this is a very famous address here in the States, but somehow my Egyptian caller wasn't familiar with it and took all of my information. Regrettably, I didn't have amazing information, but I did tell him it had a fenced-in yard, tons of extra bedrooms, and a big round office with top-notch security. Fast forward, and 2 days later, I get a call. The person on the other line started off by saying, I'm not sure who this is, but well played. I've been laughing for the last half hour. How did you convince them that you own the White House? So obviously, the first gentleman that called got the joke. He congratulated me and we had a laugh, and then he hung up. But an hour later, I got another call from someone who wasn't laughing. They said to me, I'm trying to figure out why I got a sales lead for the White House. So I basically said, well, that's because people in Egypt, where you buy your illegal sales leads, don't know anything about America. He then said to me, yeah, well, I don't think it's funny. But I said to him, well, that's tough because I think it's hilarious. Not only did you waste your money on your sales lead, but now I'm wasting your time as well. He then said some not so savory things to me, but you know what? I'm not even mad. So seriously, does anyone else have any famous addresses that I should try to sell? Because any opportunity that I have to ruin these guys' day and waste their time is time well spent in my opinion. Oh man, that's a great way to get back at telemarketers, especially these scumbags who are like, oh yeah, I'll buy your property. It's like, first of all, how did you get my information? Because I know for a fact I didn't give it to any of these idiots trying to call me. So seriously, I love the way that you handle this because this really is the best revenge you could possibly have. Because these people have an awful career, and by annoying them and completely wasting their time, this prevents them from scamming anybody else in the future. Am I the jerk for calling out my parents at my dad's birthday party for the blatant favoritism they have towards my sister? Because right now I feel so left out of the family that at this point I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So my parents have my sister and me, and they have always liked my sister a lot more than me, and I'm honestly not sure why. I don't know if I'm not their real kid, or if they only wanted one child, and I just ruined everything. But they pay so much attention to my sister, they show her so much love, and they support her in everything, and I just get nothing from them. My support comes from a couple of extended family members and friends, as well as the friends' parents, but that's it. For example, my sister, ever since she was in elementary school, got to pick what summer camp she went to, and she never got told no for where she wanted to go. Meanwhile, I was never given a choice. Some years I went to the local free one during the day, and other years I went to no summer camp at all. When my sister turned 8 years old, she got a bedroom makeover and was given her own TV, a cool new bed, a desk space, and a new computer, and they put a mini fridge in it. Oh, and by the way, it was all in pink to match her favorite color. But I still don't have any of that stuff. The laptop I'm using now was a gift from a family member. When I turned 8 years old, I was given used dolls from the thrift store that were from the dollar store. Some were even broken with missing limbs or with hair that was halfway pulled out. My parents will buy my sister pizza or Taco Bell as a treat for being a good daughter and for being their special little girl. And it happens at least 3 times a month, where she literally gets it just because. But I never get the same treatment. I don't even get it for doing well on a test like she would. Because because they spoil her whenever she does good on a test, but I never get spoiled. They told my sister they have money saved for her future, but they have never told me that. I brought it up to my parents before, but they brushed me off, even when I cried to them, and my mom told me to stop being so childish. But it all came to a head when my parents had a party Saturday for Dad's birthday, and they started boasting about my sister and how great her grades were. And at that point, I kind of lost my temper, and I asked them about me. I pointed out that my grades were actually better than hers, but they never talk about me like that. I asked why they only talk about my sister and why she is their favorite. I asked them why do they care about me at all? My uncle on my dad's side then said out loud that I have a point, but things got really awkward after that, and my parents yelled at me for doing that. So am I the jerk for calling out my parents? Because right now I'm incredibly frustrated. Oh man, yeah, your parents are definitely playing favorites with your sister. Like they're literally acting as if you don't even exist, and all of your concerns are just childish. And that is crazy to me. Like that is so toxic. Because seriously, the evidence is right in front of them. They don't pay attention to you at all. They're promising your sister all this money for her future, and they give her gifts and all this new stuff, while you're literally left in the dark and without any kind of affection from your parents. Like that is so unfair, and I'm so sorry that you're dealing with that. So truly, you are not the jerk in this situation, and if anything, your parents are absolutely at fault here, because the way they're playing favorites towards your sister is absolutely unacceptable. Am I the jerk for supposedly hiding my child's savings account from my ex, and for not letting him contribute to it, simply because I don't want him to claim ownership over something he never participated in? Here's what happened. Okay, so my ex and I divorced 8 years ago. We have a 12-year-old son together, and we don't discuss finances other than child support, meaning that I don't care for any money that he may or may not give to our child directly. Years ago, I opened a savings account for my kid, and I religiously transfer a set amount of money plus the child benefit into it every single month. I also put some loose change in there whenever I can. My kid knows of this account and gets to decide if any monetary gifts from family and friends are to be spent immediately or added to his growing savings. He doesn't keep tabs on the account, but has a rough idea of how much he gets every month, as well as how much he's already got. Now, my son must have told my ex about the account, because my ex approached me about it. He actually asked me to see the account, but I refused. He then said that he wanted to at least know the exact amount or some kind of rough idea, but I said no again. He then tried to say that he wanted to contribute and become a co-owner of the account, and he's basically implying that he wants the account to be from mom and dad. I asked if he'd like to make a big initial payment, but guess what? He doesn't, as he doesn't have that kind of money just to throw into an account that nobody can access for years according to him. He just wants to join in now and throw in some cash here and there, but that the amount that's already in there is to be overlooked. But again, I completely refused. He then told me that I can only afford that thanks to his child support contributions, but I told him that the child support is his duty and it is spent on our son's current needs, and not for him to hold it over my head. He then called me a jerk for not telling him about the account when I first opened it, because now he's apparently 8 years behind, and he won't be able to match it, and it will look bad when my kid grows up and only gets my support. Well, I told him that it's up to him whether or not he invests in our child's future, and he still has a long time to save something if he wishes to do so. He then told me I was a jerk for purposefully making him look like a bad dad, all for not having the thought of something like this. But you know what? I don't think it's fair of him to ask to jump in and claim to have contributed to the savings I've worked hard on for years. But now I wonder if I actually acted like a jerk for creating a situation in which I look like the better or more caring parent. So seriously, should I have told him about it when I first opened the account? Should I just let him contribute to keep the peace? The money is going to end up in my son's account anyways, whether he receives payments from 2 savings accounts or just 1. What should I do? Okay, for starters, you're not the jerk, because you're not appearing to be the only caring parent. In my opinion, you're the only one who's the caring parent. This guy only wants to latch on to your account that you have for your son because he just wants to claim credit for the account when your son finally comes of age. That's really what this is all about. Like, he doesn't care about putting money in there, he just wants to look like a good parent, and you better believe that if his name is on that account for someone who deposited money into it, he will scream it from the rooftops that this was somehow his idea and he helped just as much as you did in putting that money in there. And that is not fair in the slightest, and I don't think you owe him that privilege at all. So if he really wants to give some kind of money to his kid, then he can make a bank account on his own and put money in there for his kid just like you're doing. And under no circumstances, in my opinion, should you feel obligated to help him look like a good parent in the slightest. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. gmail.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.